Good afternoon, everyone. We are the Group 3 reporters. Our topic is work of art, its subject, form, and content. My name is Harry J. Bartolome.
My name is Gian A. Ognay.
My name is Mary Joyce Escondi. My name is Erica Visañados. And I'm Zella Linyo.
Subject. Subject refers to the main theme or focus of art. It is what an artist is trying to convey or represent through their artwork. The subject can vary widely and may include object, people, landscape, emotion, abstract, concept, or any other idea or element that artists choose to explore. Understanding the subject of piece of art is essential for interpreting and appreciating its meaning and message. Subject they choose for visual art are endless. An artist can choose from list of person or subject, themes, and even ideas or etc. When you are confronted with an art piece, the image that can easily identify is the subject of art. Ang artist, mamili gyud siya kung unsa iyang ganahan ni drawing, naa ba sa tawo or sa butang. Artist, creative and imaginative. So, class, they are the two types of subject of art. Being representational subject are those that appear to be very much like how people see them in the reality. So, ang representational art, nakita niya into reality. For example, nagdrawing siya og nature. For example, nagdrawing sa nature, mura mo kasagaran nakitaan sa tao into reality. Mura po yung masabtan. For the second is the non-representational art. So, work that does not depict anything from the real world. Figures, landscapes, and animals, etc.
Means non-representationalist art does not represent or depict any identifiable person, place, or thing. The concept is color, shape, texture, size, and skill. For example, the work of Mark Rothko, the color field represent of non-object art.
So, sources and kind of subjects, just like you, everybody else, artists are also human who go through the struggle of knowing what they create as an art, planning what type of subject they will choose to recreate or represent in an initial critical process of creative pursuit. Identifying subject may sound as a simple as choosing from a list of possible subjects, but this process entails complex and critical value judgments for artists to transcend the expression or message they wish to share. In some cases, they may require deep connection with this subject to inspire and motivate them. For starters, there may be a list of sources to choose from you.
Sources of kind of subject. Ang artist, pareha ra gyud nato tawo. Nag-struggle po na sila kung si ilang pilion na subject sa art kung si ilang himuon para maganahan pod sila ana ilang gidrawing. Dayon makakatch og attention sa mga tawo. Kay ganahan pod sila kumupili og subject kanang dapat naa kay connection ana na experience na nimo jud para kumupin ka adto imo na hunahunaan ang subject kana imong gipintang na ay emotion o na ay kinabuhi. Samtang gidrawing to, kato na gidrawing puno to og emotion og experience para pod makamotivate ka og tao. Pero drawing ra to. Pero girot didto to imong emotion samtang nag-drawing ka. Muana sila. Saya naman ang artist. Pero, muna'y pinakalisod ang artist na mupili sila og subject. Maglisod sila taman. Sources of kind of subject.
Number 1 is nature. The nature and the environment have been one of the sources of artistic inspiration. You can derive your inspiration from the shape and forms that the environment can offer, such as the trees, land, desert, animals, etc. Ang nature man good, mura mo kunay kasagaran good sources of artistic inspiration. Like, nagkuha ka sa trees, land, desert, or animals, and etc. Next is people and world events. People is one of the most common subjects of art. This can be found in individual and family portraits. Some artists employ abstraction where human figures or faces are unclear or distorted. Using people as subject can also convey emotion much clearly than other subject. For example, nagdrawing ka og Marcelo. So, people is one of the most common subject of art.
Spiritual and religious beliefs, like myths and legends. Art has been an outlet for religion and faith to come to life. For some, this is part of their culture, such as in Buddhist and Islamic nations. For example, art has played a significant role in expressing spiritual and religious beliefs across cultures. In Buddhist traditions, intricacies, mandalas, and statues convey spiritual teachings, while Islamic art, with its geometric patterns and calligraphy, often reflects the beauty and order inherent in Islamic faith. These artistic expressions serve as visual representation of cultural and religious values, providing a tangible connection to intangible aspects of it. Ideas commissioned by employers. There are artists hired by employers, like graphic designers. They create corporate logos, brochures, restaurant menu designs, and other print materials. Interior designers and architects designed homes and buildings according to the demand of their clients. Reagan 2005. For example, in a realm of graphic design, could be a company hiring a graphic designer to create a new logo that reflects its brand identity. A tech company might commission a designer to craft a modern and sleek logo to convey innovation. In the field of interior design, imagine a high-end restaurant hiring an interior designer to create a sophisticated and inviting atmosphere. Characteristic of two-dimensional art. First, it has mathematical dimensional of width and height but no depth. For example, a canvas painting where the width and height are clearly defined but there is no inherent depth. Imagine a portrait on a canvas. Second, they can be decorative space or plastic space. It is not the layman's definition of decorative and plastic space. It refers to a spatial condition when elements of the art cling to pictures. Plain plastic space, on the other hand, create inspiration that the elements of art can weave its way around you. For example, in a decorative space, elements might be arranged in a way that adheres to picture plane. Like a patterned wallpaper in a plastic space, elements can create a sense of movement and depth. Think of a painting where object appears to extend beyond the frame, creating an immersive effect. Third, plain picture frame. This is the defined boundary of the picture plane. Can be interpreted as limitation of two-dimensional artists where they are only bound to work within the frame. They come in the form of shapes like squares, rectangles, triangles, circles.
So
This is the example of two-dimensional. This is the example of plain picture frame. Drawings. Drawings is a process of moving an instrument over a smooth surface to leave a mark, mostly in a form of a line. For this type of two-dimensional art, line is the most important element. It may also be considered as the first step in producing other type of art. For example, will be a pencil drawing of a landscape where the artist used various types of a line, straight, curve, to depict elements such as trees, mountains, or rivers. The lines serve as the building blocks for the entire composition, capturing the essence of the scene through their arrangement and characteristics. Paintings. Paintings is an art process or media where the artist applies colors to surface using paintbrush. Some artists even use their hands or fingers to create shapes over the canvas. Paint can either be soil or water-based. Imagine an artist using a canvas to create a rich, textured landscape. The slowly dying natures of oil paints allows for blending and layering of colors, contributing of the depth and complexity of the artwork.
Three-dimensional art. There are three factors. First is depth. The art produced through three-dimensional approaches can be viewed across different angles which make the art to have more physical impact. So makita-ani mo ang usa ka art sa iyang sa front, sa back, o sa iyang gilid. The second is actual presence. Architect, ceramists, and middlemans express their art not only as a function of showing and extracting feeling but also for actual use. Ang mga architects ug mga ceramists ilang gi-express ilang art dili lang para maipakita o maipagawas ilang feelings but also for actual use. Sa usa ka art makita nimo ang katong yang facial expressions of sa sculpture kaning garments daway sa ilang hands tiguan. Number 3 is tactile sense. So tactile sense, it can be touched in its surface, in their cavities and protuberance. Three-dimensional media. Sculpture, a type of three-dimensional art where most of the media used are clay, glass, plastic, wood, stone, or metals. Sculpting giallow ang mga artists nga makahimo sila silang ganahan shape through this media. Example of sculpture is the Michelangelo's David. This iconic marble statue depicts the biblical hero David standing at 17 feet tall. It is known for its intricate detail, realistic anatomy, and dynamic pose. David is considered a masterpiece of Renaissance art and it is housed in the Galleria dell'Accademia in Florence, Italy. There are two types of sculpture, the freestanding sculpture and the relief sculpture. First type is freestanding sculpture that can be viewed all around it. Freestanding sculpture, makita nimo ni siya sa mga public spaces such as monument and park. For example, is the Statue of Liberty or the Confederate Memorial in Durham, North Carolina. Second is relief sculpture. Relief sculpture, it is projected into a space from a flat surface. One example of relief sculpture is the famous Gates of Paradise by Lorenzo Ghiberti. This masterpiece is a set of bronze doors created for the Florence Baptistery in Italy during the Renaissance period. The relief sculpture, napakita ni siya mga lain-lain nga mga scenario or scenes from the Old Testament. Apil na ana ang creation of Adam, the sacrifice of Isaac, and the story of Joseph. Your base is assembling. Assembling it is the process of constructing a sculpture using different materials. It can be a combination of wood, plastic, metal, and others. For example, is the assemblage sculpture by Jeremy Meyer. Si Jeremy Meyer, ga-collect siya o katong mga daan nga mga machine or typewriter o katong mga different apparatus. Iya siyang gi-assemble then iya siyang reassemble to create a human form such as kaning sa figures nakita nimo is kaning robotics. Number second ay next is modeling. Next is modeling. It is an additive process where the artist gradually adds more of the materials to build the form. Modeling is mag-create ka og shape. Example is kaning face sa usa ka tawo magkuan ka maghulma ka ana through the use of soft materials like clay, wax or cement, then imo siyang ipagahayon siya. Carving. It is a subjective process where the sculptor remove, cut, shape, or drills part of the solid mass to create the form. Ang carving is kanang mag-ukit ka sa bato or sa woods. For example, nga sa image is kaning the jade carving. Example is Chinese carving of jade stone. Ang mga Chinese kakuan sila gaukit sila og sa stone ilang percent kaning kuan. Phoenix or dragon. It symbolize sa ilang nga tradition. It symbolize purity, power, and immortality. Then next is casting. It comes in the manipulative process where materials like a soft pliable materials are made into shapes using manual hand force or machine manufactured force. Kaning casting is magtunaw ka og materials. For example is kaning wax casting shape into mold. Ang wax gitunaw siya then gibutang siya sa usa ka mold niya na siya daang shape then imo siyang hulaton nga magahi na. For example, another example is kanang kuan 5 piece ng 5 gani nga yellow nga coins. Mo siyang itunawon then ibutang siya sa mold or hulmaan then para magahi na siya, mag-create na siya into a ring. Next is crops. These are three-dimensional crops that have utilitarian intention. Usually crops made with function are basket, plates, cups, vase, jars, kitchen utensils, and even jewelry. Kana bang gikan siya used by the hands. Na maghimo ta og basket through the use of bamboo. So nga to. Kanang bule, mo siyang kuan na form siya din nga jars, kitchens, and utensils. Next is architecture. Shelter, building, monuments, and religious shrines are some of the few byproducts of architecture. So architecture, muna siya kaning magplano ka unsa i-design sa buildings, monitoring the and reproducing infrastructure to give humans and other forms of spaces. Tungod sa advance na ang technology, mas mapadali ang arts nga maka-access ang mga consumer. Kaning it allowed people to mapagawa sila nga artistic side, makahimo sila ilang nga own version of arts such as in the photography. Example is a picture ka. Next is photography. This is a technique of capturing optical image on light sensitive camera. Photographic media have improved not only as a media to capture movement but now done as a method to convey art. So ang photographic media dili lang siya parang naka-capture ka og moment but also a method to convert art. Example is kanang picture ka og nature, art na siya. Then the first camera ever recorded in 19th century is the daguerreotype. It is made of copper plate to create mirror-like image. 1850, a weight plate replaced the old copper plate to create technological media. Technological advances have paved the way for arts and the process of making one to be more accessible for consumers. Daguerreotype, the first camera ever recorded in 19th century. It uses copper plate to create mirror-like images. 1850, a weight plate replaced the old copper plate to create photographs. And then contemporary photography weight plate were replaced with films or negative where a camera capture reverse or baliktad ng may image of the object when hit by the flash or light. Today, there are digital methods to capture photographs such as digital single-lens reflex camera and even smartphones that capture probably good images.
Film and videos. Film are a series of negative that intend to show motions of pictures. Filmmaking was a byproduct of people's entries towards still pictures by transforming them into continuously seamless movement. Example, Canva, to create presentation. And another examples are and slideshow. That are the examples of films and videos. Computer art. Graphic designers rely on computers and its application to create art. Hardwares of computers are the physical tools that assist in the creation art, such as keyboard, monitor, CPU, printers, and mouse. Example of computer art is to edit some pictures to create a misband. That is one of the example of computer art. Another example of computer art, the advertising sa TV. Isa po na siya sa example sa computer art kay tungod nga we can use keyboard, monitor, CPU, and printer and mouse. Content. Artwork also contain emotional or intellectual messages. They are called content. These are statement, mode, interpretation developed by artists through the artwork. Among the three components, this must be the most difficult recognized. Without the ability of the viewers to communicate with the artist, it would be difficult for the former to decipher the thought and emotional process of artist. Tatag siya og message sa imuhang art. Kinahanglan imong art have meaning para makasabot ang mga consumer. Then, having a factual meaning. Having factual meaning is kanang tinuod siya or genuinely nga art nga makita. Then, na siya'y subjective meaning. Kinahanglan sa imong art is na siya'y kung imo na siyang i-display, kinahanglan na imong name, na imong kumbaga credit line. The criticism of art and judgment of aesthetics. Finally, this systematic approach is evaluating, appreciating, and criticizing art. Being a critic or the very last an audience of art means that you need criteria or set of standard to assess the artwork more effectively and comprehensively. Means, sa imuhang art is imong consumer na ang mo criticize kung unsa tsada ba na siya or bati ba na siya sa ilang panglantaw. Or kanang nasa unique nga makita sa imuhang art.
So, steps in evaluating art. Step 1, description. You need to make a list of that are visible in the elements work. This may include the subject, the elements of art that were applied in the work. So, kaning description, di ba na atay 5 basic elements of art, which is color, line, shape, form, and texture. So, dapat naani siya sa usa ka artwork, dapat naani siya kaning 5 basic elements of art. Step 2 is analysis. You may need to observe and identify the different applications of principles and designs. You may also need to understand why these principles were applied in the first place and may require certain comparison with other work or artists. So, kani siya naman, observe. I-analyze nimo ba? You need to observe and identify the different applications of principles of the design. Diri siya, ang imong buhaton is to figure out, describe, and explain. So, pag pag-critic sa usa ka artwork naa mo ang question nga na imuhang tinid nga buhaton is how is the work organized? What principles o design were applied in the artwork? What are the artist's individual style and techniques? Inana dito siya. Step 3. Interpretation. In this step, digging into the content is the hallmark of this process. You may need to examine the message, rhetoric, or narrative of the artwork. So there is interpretation. You may need to examine the message or unsa ang meaning ana nga usa ka artwork. Question nga kinahanglan nimong guide, what is the message of the art? Why is this message relevant or important? What is the mood being conveyed in the art? Unsa ang mood sa unsa ang artist unsa iyang mood sa artist nga pag-draw ana nga artwork inana dito. Then step 4. Sa fourth step is ang judgment. As a critic, you may need to examine the artistic merit of the work. Merit is when the artist has successfully accomplished the foundational and subjective components of art. So diri sa last step is kanang diri na kamuhatag og judgment kung unsa ka tsada, unsa ka artistic ang kana nga artwork. Kung unsa tsada ba ang iyang pag-sketch or giunsa niya pag-draw inana dito. Aesthetic theory. Steps 3 and 4 of art criticism may require not only your ability to describe but also to think critically. Hence, aesthetic may be nouns from some theories and concepts. The following are the some of foundation theories that can be used to evaluate the success of artwork. Theories for critical analysis. First is imitationalism or literal. This theory is focused on critiquing the artwork based on the external of realistic representation. As a critic, you must judge the qualities and the details of the work to seek to mimic reality. So as a critic, you must be guided by the questions. So kung guided ka ani nga question, how well did the artist represent the real form of the subject? This theory of art that judge artwork based on how it looks real. Formalism or conventional. This theory is focused on evaluating the artwork's rigor in design and the application of principles. How did the artist organize the artwork into a cohesive? Emotionalism or this theory refers to the expressive qualities of the artwork. You may have to determine what feelings, mood, and emotions were aroused or stimulate by the art. So, ang emotionalism, kani nga theory, nag-focus ni siya kung unsa ang mood, feelings, sa usa or emotions sa usa ka artist. Utilitarianism or utility and function. Sometimes, products of art may not only be aesthetic, it may have utilitarian purposes as well as this theory is not essentially an aesthetic theory but this may assist in interpreting artworks with functional aspects. Barrett's principle of interpretations. First is artworks have aboutness and demand interpretation. Ang isa ka artwork dapat na adyo siya unod ba? Like inana. Interpretations are persuasive arguments. So dapat kanang makainganyo jud ang imuhang pag-interpret. Persuasive arguments. So dapat ang imong pag-interpret sa usa ka artworks dapat kanang makadani jud sa imuhang kuanan. Some interpretations are better than others. Fourth, good interpretations of art tell more about the artwork than they tell about the critic. 5 feelings are guides to interpretation. So, naingon ako kung ganina, dapat kung mo interpret ka sa usa ka artwork dapat with feelings. 6 is there can be different, competing and contradictory interpretations of the same artwork. 7, interpretation are often based on a worldview. 8, interpretation are not so much absolutely right, but more or less reasonable, convincing, enlightening, and informative. So, 9 is interpretation can be judged by coherence, correspondence, and inclusiveness. 10. An artwork is not necessarily about what the artist wanted it to be about. A critic ought not to be the spokesperson for the artist. 12. Interpretation ought to present the work in its best rather than its weakest light. 13. The objects of interpretation are artwork, not artists. Number 14. All art is an part about the world in which it emerged. 15. All art is an part about the other art. 16 is no single interpretation is exhaustive of the meaning of an artwork. Then 17, the meaning of an artwork may be different from its significance to the viewer. Interpretation ID ultimately endeavor and the community is ultimately self or corrective. 18 is good interpretations invite us to see ourselves and to continue on our own. That's all. Thank you.